Can we talk about for a second the queasiness of Western culture with just being a human being? It's so strange. Like, I'm out here, yeah, it's October, yeah, it's actually quite a nice day. I'm just walking around with shorts on and they're like, oh, what is it, the middle of summer? I'm like, what do you mean, I'm just a human? There's so many examples. I'll have to make a full-fledged video that I'll link at the top of the description when I do, but it's like, the breath work is a good example. If I do breath work in an open field in somewhat of the public, which is like the best place I can find, people are so like queasy about it. They're like, what are you doing? Or like meditation and that. You're not allowed to really just sit there, lotus positions out on a field, like being present or doing some breathing. Everyone's like, oh. The weird thing about everyone's concern is it's so backwards. I was walking outside just now, first thing in the morning, I'll get up, I walk barefoot on the grass and like listen to some guided meditations, trying to absorb the sun before it disappears for half a year, because that's what it does around these ends. I understand people's concern. People are so concerned about me not wearing shoes. It's in many, sometimes I get strangers. Well, I was on mushrooms, but this was funny. I went to walk to the garage at the end of my estate and I was like, fuck it, I ain't gonna wear shoes, because I was just trying to get out. When you're on mushrooms as well, it just dissolves cultural conditioning, so I thought, why would I wear shoes? So I was walking on the pavement and these strangers were like, excuse me, where are your shoes? And I was just like, they were like, are you on drugs? There was nothing that would make them say that. I was ages away, but I just said yes all the time and just started dancing.
Instead of putting on your makeup, trying to make up for the time my life can take up, do what the fuck you wanna do, please. I get funny stares from people working in the morning when I walk outside and got on any shoes. Breeze, hello, sorry, I ain't playing with the way that things are moving. What you're doing sound like hell on earth to choose. Seize, why you look at me when you the one to make decision with your time?
And this is another thing with the psychedelics. Everyone's so concerned about psychedelic use. It's really bizarre, but it's actually very fucking annoying, because our culture makes you uncomfortable with being human to the point where I have to mediate my authentic self in order not to get in trouble. And the ironic thing is, if you look at this image here, it's a very good example. People are so backwards and they're concerned. Everyone's looking at me walking barefoot on the grass, right? And they're like, oh, are you okay? As if it's cause for concern. Meanwhile, they're literally drugged up permanently on painkillers. Everything they consume is literal poison. It's like a collective mass psychosis, collective unconsciousness. Or I ain't gonna judge people, and that's the thing, I don't judge people. Do what the fuck you want. I don't care if you're in a wheelchair, fat as fuck, nearly gonna die because of your lifestyle. If that's what you want to do, there's no room for me to say whatever. These people just project their shit onto me forever. The same if you're somewhat of a spiritual geezer or you pursue psychedelics. And the thing is, these people don't disagree with a lot of it. It's not that they disagree with the spiritual teachings or anything. It's more of that they're just queasy. For example, my mother, sorry mother, I love you. There's nothing I can talk about in terms of psychedelics, even though there's a fat resurgence of medical and like, it's like the psychedelic renaissance for mental health. It literally causes neurogenesis and amazing things. They've literally saved my life numerous times. Forever grateful, and so are so many people, right? But people like my mother go, but it's drugs. What does that mean, man? It's literally a culturally conditioned notion. It's a lot of it is like this cringe sort of thing where I really have fallen out with the notion of cringe. You can surpass it. Cringe is often like a projection of insecurity. And another thing I was thinking is like, yeah, so I was trying to do some breath work earlier out on the best place I can find. I didn't in the end. Maybe I should overcome it. But society doesn't want you to do the breath work outside. I'm just trying to be out in the sun in the morning, do some deep breathing. No one's around me for a long time, and it doesn't matter. I'd be gassed if I saw someone doing that, because it's so rare to find someone of this nature in the flesh. I pulled out my phone because I started uploading some shorts to TikTok and that, and then I realised how there's no more social insecurity, because it's deemed okay to be on your phone, but it's not deemed normal and okay to be in presence, consciously breathing deeply. Why? It's very bizarre. So yeah, there's just some examples anyway. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. There's a lot more. The rabbit hole goes a lot deeper. What it ultimately ends up in is you just have to like mediate your authentic being. This is what everyone in the Western culture kind of runs off of, is you just like suppress yourself for everybody else. So I was thinking, like, when these people said to me earlier, they were just taking a piss, yeah, there weren't no bad intention, but like, I'm ready for everybody to point out the fact that I'm out in shorts and no shoes and it's not particularly warm outside, even though my body is absolutely warm and I'm actually quite hot right now, but I'm ready for them to point it out. And then I think, and this goes for people judging in general, so for example, sometimes I'm in the car with my family and they'll drive past some like fat person, they'll go, ugh, look at that fat piece of shit, and I'm like, what do you want me to do for you then? Do you want me to, oh fine, I'll put a jumper on for you then, should I put some shoes on for you? Do you feel better about yourself now? You're welcome. And what about the fat geezer? Oh, if he lost some weight, or if that bird didn't look so fucking ugly, would you be better off, would you? Would you be more fulfilled, or are you just finding external reasons for your dissatisfaction? I still do it, to be fair. It wasn't even that long ago. But you got to be conscious of the notion of being so, like, primitively judgmental, because, like, you're acting as if it's a problem that's causing you shit, but it isn't. It's just you projecting your low consciousness bullshit. And this is like a perpetuation of this hate and fear that just runs through our culture. This is why I call the West the pain matrix. I won't go into who exactly, but someone was very quiet once upon a time in like a group gathering. Instead of this person going, I'm being compassionate, which you should be, compassion at the bottom of everything, and if you don't understand that, then fuck off. Instead, they just perpetuate the hate and the pain that they feel in their being and their body and everything. Why are you being so shitful? Why are you, like, being so quiet and ruining the vibe? When I get, like, somewhat depressed, if I do, I close off from the external world. And if anyone wants to judge me, I just think behind my eyes, behind my face, you have no fucking idea, mate. And it goes in many areas. I feel compassion before anything. I forgive everyone. A lot of people, a lot of my family have always like, what are you on about? That's like weird. But it's this sense of nothing's really ultimately anybody's fault. Forgiveness is core to have at the bottom of everything, because we all make mistakes. I don't know, that's just another topic in itself. But yeah, instead of just hating on people for being different, if I see like some fat piece of shit who just eats poison all day, I'm sorry, I don't mean to call you a fat piece of shit. I'm not judging you. And maybe you're fine internally, and maybe I should stop projecting my own concerns onto you, just as you do to me. What I'm saying is, instead of looking at that individual and hating on them for their lifestyle, instead I feel compassion, because I'm like, why are you this way? Like, because I struggle with trying to be healthy, because our culture is very toxic. Most things in modern supermarkets are poison, literally.
You got a 12-year education in how to eat all the wrong foods, and nobody really told you that most modern foods are literally poison.
I think, well, maybe people literally just do not care, and that's why this stuff is still running through our culture, because people don't have like the intrinsic care and motivation or awareness maybe to care about their health. And it is mass scale, very rare to find someone who eats pure, clean, alkaline, and it's almost impossible in certain areas. I've never left our culture, but do you know what I mean? So instead of looking at someone and judging them, going, why are you like that, you lazy piece of shit? And I understand they need to hear that stuff to an extent. Instead, I just feel compassion for them if they're suffering for it. Just don't hate, man. There's no need for hate. There's barely a need for anger. Why are you going to judge someone like that and perpetuate their hate? So break the fucking pain matrix that is the West by being more conscious and compassionate. There is really such thing as higher consciousness and lower consciousness, no doubt. And to raise your own consciousness is the mission, really, because it ripples. When I get depressed, when I get low, I see how I affect people when I pass that negativity and perpetuate the pain matrix onto others. So it's your job to become highly conscious, break the cycle. The more conscious we can become, the better teachings we can pass to our children. If we can write lyrics to corrupt their minds and the kids, we can use it to uplift them. It's a new generation. We need to watch where we lead them. If we can write lyrics about money, sex, fame and drugs, surely we can write lyrics about peace, love, freedom. It's a revolution, put your fist up, high vibration, we don't get pissed up, see man, hold the electric list up. We make the mucus move, could have been in a shit job with a mortgage, 2 kids and a wife, but this is the life I choose, no cigarettes, no weed and no booze.